Hi, and welcome back to Comic Book Weekly. Today we're going to talk to you about some of the great comics we picked up, and also have a discussion on Monopoly and its threats to the family. How far are you willing to go for your Monopoly money?
Miles, get over it. I got the car.
Why don't you play as the thimble?
I don't care who plays as what as long as I get the battleship.
Okay, well, today's discussion is actually on adaptation of comics on television. And I'm going to bring you over to Lois here.
Lois. Really? That's the one you went with?
That's the one we went with.
Lois? Alright. Hey guys, I've got Image Comics Sidekick number 3, written by J. Michael Straczynski and art by Tom Mandrake. The story is about the trials and tribulations of a hero's sidekick trying to move on after that hero's death. And his attempts to rebrand himself as the main hero, the number one guy, and the city's guardian, per se. It's a bit of a parody of Batman and Robin. The plot mostly being revolving around, like, what would Robin do if Batman were killed?
Tell him the nickname. Tell them the nickname.
Buttboy. 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 The character's name is Flyboy. He gets called Buttboy. The comic covers what he's going through in his new life, trying to be that guy, his struggles, trying to become the number one guy and trying to be taken seriously, as well as a few other interesting things that are kind of overlooked in comic books in general, such as like where do they get their money from? There's some guys it's covered. Tony Stark and Batman are covered, but other guys, like, where do they get all the money for their gadgets and stuff?
Wolverine and all that.
Yeah, they cover that kind of thing. Also, it shows his life kind of devolve and his life sort of spiral out of control. This was the weakest issue so far in the series. It introduced 2 new characters, one of which had shown up in a couple others, but now we're just starting to learn the background. The story, though, doesn't live up to the first 2. The first 2 are a bit better, but the story's definitely going somewhere cool. I really like it. I give the story 7.5 kapows. Same with the art. I give the art 7.5 kapows as well. It's good stuff. It's nothing standout, but it's dark, and it really helps bring home the tone of the book. So next up is Gordon the Shack over here.
Okay, another name. So, today I am reviewing Superman, Wonder Woman. Love is a battlefield. That was the advertisement for it. Okay, so the artist,
obvious.
the writer is Charles Soule and the artist is Tony Daniel. It's Daniel. So, for the script and how it was written, I didn't enjoy it that much. It was definitely made for a different audience, more the tweens feel, because it was on their perfect kind of relationship that's actually not so perfect. These 2 perfect beings coming together for a relationship, making a not so perfect relationship, and not my style. It's good for some different readers. So I give it 7 kapows.
Kapow!
Kapow!
Took a month and a half to get him to really buy in.
Alright, next is the art. The art was beautiful. Tony Daniel, fantastic job. The reason why I really loved it is you could see the emotion in their faces and even the lack of emotion. And this gave a lot of words to the script itself that you could tell what they're thinking and what they're saying just by their emotions. And I felt that was really awesome. So I'm going to give the art in itself 9.5 kapows.
Whoa.
And then I'm going to pass you here to Bublés.
Alright then. I guess I'll take it. It's better than Bubbles.
No, that's just like a Spanish version of it.
Yeah, or French, or whatever.
Whichever, yeah.
Alright.
It depends how I feel of the day.
Pedro Bublés.
I like that. I can go with Pedro Bublés.
There we go.
Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about Death Sentence issue 1. Just came out today. Came out by Titans Comics. The story begins with a sexually transmitted virus that basically kills you in 6 months, but in between that time you gain superpowers.
Pretty sweet.
So the story revolves around a couple of characters who have this disease and how it reflects upon their lives. I really, really enjoyed the story. Like, I had fun reading it. It was great. So I give the story 9 kapows.
Yeah, to have the extra.
Not like Spider-Man. He was like.
Now the art was definitely really, really awesome. I really enjoyed it. It helped me feel for the comic, as Jordan would say, it was really gritty.
Just wait till he tells you about this comic.
Yeah, sorry, as Lois would say, it's really gritty. But
That's two nicknames.
Woo! Double down.
So I really enjoyed the art. It's really awesome. It's sexy too. It's sexy, edgy, and gritty. A page from Lois.
Sounds like Austin Powers.
So I give the art 8 kapows. Now I'll bring it over here to, I guess, are we going with maple tree?
I think maple tree.
Spruce trees.
Spruce trees.
Spruce tree is
Spruce Tree Travis.
I'm doing Manhattan Project this week, done by Jonathan Hickman. It's start of the Oppenheimer Wars. Well, sorry, not start. The second part of the Oppenheimer Wars, where it's Robert inside. No, it's
Yes.
Robert's mind.
Inside
Like
Joseph.
Joseph's inside Robert's mind.
Yes.
And more of the war between the brothers going on. A lot of craziness erupts in this issue, and a little bit of a change at the end. It's
craziness in this issue.
yeah.
It's
Pure
Oppenheimer.
mayhem.
It's Robert Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Everything's off the table when it comes to him. But in total, the story amazing. Easily 9.5 kapows out there. The art, on the other hand, like I'm starting to it's starting to grow on me because I don't know, just the way that they draw it, like just Oppenheimer in general, just as that base that they give him, the crazy I don't give two shits.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
The only really art that I like though is I like the Nazi. I like the way they draw the Nazi.
The robot now?
Yeah. I like the way they draw him.
astronaut.
You're right. You give a great point. You're right. Oppenheimer when he's emotionless, he's just sitting there like nothing matters.
Mm.
It's fantastic. You're right. That is. I never thought of it like that, but yes, it is fantastic. But
I enjoyed the contrast with the blue and the red. I enjoyed that. And it's very important. In this
the only thing
comic
that's lacked in
series.
this issue was some Einstein in his drinking, being like, I
True.
don't give two craps about anything.
True.
But in total, I'll give the art probably 7 kapows. So this week we're going to be talking about TV adaptations of comic books. I'm more of a fan of the animated opposed to the live actions, at least. What do you guys think?
Well, what brings us to this topic is obviously Sunday is the season 4 premiere of Walking Dead.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yesterday too.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was yesterday, which is a very polarizing series, I think, in the comic book world. There's a lot of people who read the comics who really don't like that show.
I've met some people who do like the comics, who do like the show. You just gotta.
I'm one of those
open
people.
mind.
For me, I think it's silly. I think the show's much better written. I think the comic book's excellent too.
I
the
think
comic
it's
show
just
be
the
better.
fact that,
How can the show be better written?
well, it's just more action.
There's more writers. There's like
There's
3-4
more drama.
writers.
There's
for-
more drama. They understand how to. They understand how to kill people off.
The way it is, though, I think, is the fact that we've watched the show first before we watched that, and so we got used to something being fast-paced, and that way when at least when I read the first volume, I knew everything that was gonna happen. So reading, I'm just like,
Yeah,
this
but
is
it
slowed
happens-
down
They
season
happen
1.
differently. It's you have to kind of
There's
take
a lot
them.
of similarities.
Like
though.
the book is, if you read the comic book, it's great in the comic book realm.
Mm.
But what you have to take into account is Robert Kirkman's previous big writing project was called Battle Pope. So probably not a whole lot of depth to that comic book. Like I can't speak for the comic book. I haven't read it.
None of us have, I don't think.
So, but when you read the Walking Dead graphic novel, it's fantastic. It's really good. I feel like the themes that he's trying to bring across are more well portrayed in the TV show. When characters die in the TV show, you really care about that character. Whether they're, you have really strong feelings about that character, whether you like that character or you don't like that character. You know, no spoilers, but there's a character who dies at the end of season 3 who I waited 2.5 seasons to die. I was so waiting
You
for
actually
it to
liked her
happen.
for the first time?
Shut up! Spoiler alert!
Oh no!
You like not No, but for half a season I didn't give a crap, and then for 2.5 seasons I was like, oh my god, friggin' die. And then there are other characters that when they die you're just like, oh crap. In the comic book, when those characters die, it just happens, and you're like, okay. You don't grow any attachment to those characters, which is so like the show emotionally is you get a stronger bond with it. The comic book's excellent too, and I really like it. And I'm definitely like I own volume 1 and 2. I just got volume 2 today in the mail, so I'm stoked to read that. But for the most part, like when I compare the two, season 1 and volume 1 are essentially the same story. There's a little bit more actually in season 1 of the show, and I like it that the characters seem to do things better. On the other hand, there are things like I'm a big Punisher fan, and like the Punisher Warzone movie is based on books, and it's terrible.
So one thing,
So, like,
when we talk
can go
about
both ways.
comic adaptations, we're not just talking about like superheroes, correct, Ben?
No, just say
Because I think Adventure Time's fantastic. Best TV show that has a comic book out there today.
Was it?
Yeah, but it was a TV
No, it wasn't.
show
That was a
first.
TV
It was
show
a TV
first.
show.
So
So maybe the comic book adaptation is just a business.
They're both really good.
But also, Walking Dead has a new show coming out as well.
Yeah.
I
Robert
don't
Kirkman's
know if you
writing
guys
it,
heard.
spin-off.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I heard
it's gonna be
briefly about
a
it.
different
Interesting.
group of people.
Well,
It's gonna be
same
its
universe,
own.
though.
Yeah, but it's gonna be it's
Different part of the world, no
Exactly.
interaction with the other characters, stuff.
That's cool. That
It's
sounds
a good idea.
We'll see what's up.
But you know what I wanted to talk about though that you guys will all remember?
Beware the Batman.
No, it was the '90s X-Men.
which is awesome.
It was a freaking amazing. It's literally what got me into.
You go back.
comic books.
You go back and
Yeah,
watch it now.
90s Spider-Man.
You go back and watch it now, like on Netflix, and it's a little bit silly and
Yeah.
hokey. But at the same time, like you remember all of those
Oh,
storylines. You're like, oh, I remember that. I remember being
Well,
like,
I remember growing
That show
up
used
and
to
watching
drag
that
you into
show as much as possible. But the problem was they played reruns, and whenever I saw the reruns, it was always the same episodes. It was always Gambit and Rogue like having their emotional disputes. I was like,
Yeah, but come
can
on.
we see other?
Gambit's such a badass in that show, though.
Yeah,
Like
but
Gambit is like the best part of that show. He's such a pimp.
well,
he's such a pimp.
He is because that's what the '90s was like. Remember, Rob Liefeld was popular back then too, and we all know what Rob Liefield's like.
so much hate for Rob Liefeld.
You read a series
Oh my
of Rob
God.
Liefeld,
No,
because you enjoy.
no,
I'm never gonna read a
Watch-
Rob Liefeld series because of you guys.
You
should
should look at his art. His art is just fantastic.
The fact that other artists mock him too just goes to, reinstate our opinion of
Okay, the Batman 90s animated series. I mean, how many of us loved that series? How many of us loved Batman because of that series?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys
I
buy
guess
the VHS Mask of Phantasm movie back then that came from the
No,
TV show?
I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
It's good though.
Same as what was the other one with Mr. Freeze?
Yeah, they.
Sub-Zero?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's Zero,
exactly.
where it's like the whole kidnap Robin dies if you don't save my wife, blah blah blah.
Yeah. I like the Mask of the Phantasm one. It was really cool.
Plus, they had the Superman at the time, and they intertwined the Superman and Batman series.
Why don't they do that in cartoons anymore?
It's because every 6 months the new Batman series, because the last one
Yeah.
did something dumb.
Yeah.
That was sexist or racist, but the kids wasn't starting new.
How about, not speaking of animated, but what about Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman back in the day?
school.
I don't even remember that.
No? Because that was like, I don't know if it's any good now. I don't know if I went back and watched it, I'd be like, this is still good. But when I was a kid, I was always stoked for that show.
Oh yeah. We'd watch it in the big
That-
wooden
that became a
TVs that
yeah,
you'd
the
see
big
in the
wooden
50s.
TVs, yeah.
You'd see these TVs like in the 60s and be like, that is what we watched on every, and you'd have to hit it a couple times to actually get to be perfect. And me, Miles, and Alistair, when he came over sometimes on Sunday nights, we'd be watching Lois and Clark right after supper.
Would they actually have the turn dial for the channels?
Yeah,
That's
They're
it.
I like that, the power button, you like pull it out
Push
and then
it.
you turn it to put the volume up. So great. But that show was, I always liked watching that. And it became a big crossover. Like they produced a wedding album from the Lois and Clark wedding in the show in comic books as well. As far as I know, that it had its own
crazy.
novels or novellas that came out based on the show too. And I don't know. I remember Lex Luthor looking completely different in that show.
Did he have
That's
his,
not-
like orange hair at the time? Or was he gone with the bald still?
No, he wasn't bald. He had like a goatee and like short, dark hair is what I remember. Like he looked like he.
So he was a businessman.
Oh man, so much like a businessman.
Sneaky,
It was.
sneaky.
It was. I mean, I didn't know anything about him at the time, but now I look back and I'm like, that seems like it was probably off. So probably not a great adaptation, but it was still a good show. Like, I still like that show a lot.
Another one to talk about is The Era, which literally came out like a year ago, which
Did
we
you
had a
watch
special preview when we went to Fan
Fan
Expo. Now, I love Green Arrow, and his enemy in this show is Deathstroke.
Well, one of them.
And we all know that Deathstroke is my favorite character. He's the best character. But the problem,
Especially when he's drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Especially.
Favorite thing. If you guys
Most
love him,
especially.
if you love Bubbles, send him pictures of Rob Liefeld art Deathstroke.
He
And
will
he will
love
send you photographs back of his appreciation.
Yeah.
but basically, I found the show to be a bit more for as Malcolm. I'm taking a page out of Gordon here.
Yeah, sure.
It's a tween show. The guy just takes off his shirt and goes like, "Oh, I know
Well,
this."
yeah, like Smallville was too.
But I guess when I
was
watched
good.
exactly
Up until the end where he fought Darkseid and beat Darkseid with one punch. I can fly now, my punch is stronger!
what was our age when we watched Smallville? We were tweens then.
No, I watched Smallville when I was 18. It only
Did you
ended
watch
like 3 years
read
ago.
comics as well though?
I had just started reading comics when I had been reading comics probably about a year when the last season came
Because
out.
don't get me wrong, I loved Smallville. I thought it was good, but
I liked it for the time I
I
watched
like
it.
the first,
I just
first
fell
like
off.
I was
6
a big
seasons
fan
or
of
so,
it.
it was good. And it slowly got worse. And then they got Lex off the show and I was like, flip table.
now now that we all kind of understand like what's going on about the whole TV shows, what do you guys think about the new, obviously Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
My thoughts on the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show is I like it so far. It's kind of had a slow start. The first few episodes, I haven't got to see episode 3 yet, but I like where it's going. It's it's getting there. It's got to build up, right? It can't just jump right in. But I like where it's going. I think it's going to be a good
I
series.
like how it has Colston. So I
Yeah,
just wanted
that's really the only character I like. Every other character I'm not a big fan.
You don't
of.
like Sky? I like to look at Sky.
I like
like to
the
look at
show.
her. Yes.
terrible.
All right,
character.
but that's the whole point. They want all of us neckbeards to be like, oh my god, she's so hot. I'm gonna watch this show. But honestly, like I said, the show's not, to myself, not that great. It could be a lot better. I wanted more espionage and more action.
I think it'll get there.
And also the
Hopefully.
problem is Joss Whedon is make it feel too much like Firefly.
Which isn't a bad
I want a separate show.
The only problem
I don't. I want Firefly back on the air.
The only
Best show on TV in the
So
last
Marvel's
50 years.
Marvel's Agents of Firefly.
the only major problem I have with it is that like they're setting up for relationships. Everyone from episode 1 is like, I don't get along with you, but I'll probably go and have sex with you later. We're gonna get a committed
The relationship web.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm just like, wow. So season ending of 1, they'll all be together. Season 2, something tragic happens. They don't like each other again. But at the end of season 2, they're all back together again. Yes, this is gonna turn into friends all over again.
I hope one of them ends up like a Hydra agent. Hell, Hydra!
Well,
I hope one turns out to be Bob the Hydra agent in the end. I will be like, best show ever, you tricked me.
well, guys, that just about does it for this episode. Thanks for watching again, and remember to pick up your weekly comics.
Woo!